get funky.
All right, welcome to the Bizz, where we're all up in it. I'm your boy Daniels over here in Simi Valley.
And Aaron experiencing those first days of summer, San Diego.
Right. Question for you.
Uh-oh.
What's up with the rise of the Karens?
They're taking over.
I don't get it, man. Like 3 or 4 months ago, I didn't even know what a Karen was, but now every time I turn around, there's a Karen on the news.
My biggest issue, well, let's start off with saying Karen is just basically somebody sticking their nose in somebody's business where, you know, where it's not wanted.
Hold on. According to Wikipedia, not that Wikipedia is like the all end all be all for definitions, but Karen is a pejorative term used in the U.S. and other English-speaking countries for a woman perceived to be entitled or demanding beyond the scope of what is considered appropriate or necessary.
I don't understand. Go ahead.
It's actually become like almost like a racial slur.
Oh no, we're not giving it that. We're not.
I mean, think about it though. When I say to you, "Hey, there was some new Karen video on TV," who do you think of?
I think of white people sticking their nose in business that isn't theirs, or people. I could even say, but typically it's been white.
Typically, it's been white, right?
The ones on video.
The ones on video, right? But there's been a couple. So now that we've kind of defined a Karen, we got some examples of Karen-ish activity, and then we'll decide whether or not they really fall into the Karen category, and if they, or if what happened actually warranted. Because think about it, we will get like a 2-minute viral video, right? A 2-minute video of an incident that probably spanned a half an hour, or an incident that spanned 10 minutes, or an incident that spanned longer than the video. And we are given the sensational part, so we can just come up with, whatever it is they want us to see. And then when you get the real story, sometimes, it's not exactly what it's being portrayed to be, right?
Absolutely.
All right. So let's start with our first Karen, our road rage Karen. All right. So this is our road rage Karen, and what happened is we get a 2-minute viral video of a dude who's on Instagram. His name is Carlos Dillard, and apparently she cuts him off in the street. He's driving. She cuts him off. He's trying to merge. And for all those of you out there, if you want to watch this video, just go to Instagram and type in #RoadRageKaren. It'll come up. Anyway, you can watch the video. She cuts him off. Apparently, she gives him the finger, and then he goes around her, and she follows him. He gets out of his car, wants to know why she's following him. She calls him the N-word and zooms off. So he decides to follow her to her house. Once he gets in front of her house, that's when he pulls out his camera. And she goes into the whole, "Oh my God, why are you following me? What are you doing?" She goes into the whole act, right?
Yeah.
So the portion of the video that we see is definitely, she goes into Karen mode, right? And that's all we see.
There's a few things going on in that video. First of all, everybody in California thinks they can drive, but no one can. People don't know how to merge. I'm on my pedestal here. Nobody knows how to merge.
Fun fact, I didn't learn how to drive in California. I can drive.
She goes into, first of all, she's driving with her mask on. Another issue I have. We don't drive with our masks on. It's called
and her gloves on. She's got a mask and her gloves on. But that's beside the point.
She goes into full, torture movie meltdown mode. I don't understand why she put on the show. And at some point during that video, she says she has a wherewithal to apologize, which means she knows that she was wrong. I just didn't understand going from 0 to 100 emotionally. I don't get it. I never understood it. Doesn't make any sense.
Right. All right. So, he follows her and he confronts her, right? And at one point he's saying, you give me the finger and call me N-word down the street. And now all of a sudden you're acting like this total victim, right? And in the video, if you watch it all, someone actually comes down the street who witnessed the whole thing. And they're like, yeah, she did what he claims she did. And at one point, he even says, let's have a conversation. She's like, I don't want to have a conversation. It's like, so she totally, Karen's on the guy, right?
Yeah.
However, when you get the full story, and even with the full story, she's still wrong. But when you get the full story, after this guy, Carlos, has, gotten half the neighborhood to hear his story, and people are kind of confirming, yeah, you're right, she did it. She does actually calm down, and like you said, come over, and she even says, let me explain to you my perspective. Let me tell you what's going on. And at that point, he doesn't want to talk to her anymore. So I don't know. Isn't there a point? Didn't we discuss another video at some point where we're supposed to allow that forgiveness? And I'm not saying, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying he's wrong for not wanting to hear it, but I'm trying to give you both sides, devil's advocate here.
I think it was more sensationalized. That's one of those videos. We're in a time right now where if anybody puts out a Karen video, no matter who's right or wrong, it's probably going to go viral.
Probably.
Because at some point he starts, saying what he does, and sort of starts advertising for himself in the middle of the video. So go ahead.
Isn't it the person who puts out the video? It's almost like they're always saying, I'm the victim. Like, I'm the victim in the situation. And I guess in this video with Road Rage Karen, because we don't really know her name, I guess he is kind of the victim. She cuts him off, she flips him off, and then when he confronts her, she goes into total actress mode, right? She should get an Oscar for that, right? But usually the person who puts out the video is, the person who's trying to show that, hey, look, I'm a victim of this. This is wrong, right?
I don't put them in that light. A lot of people have put this out there just to let people know that this happens every day. This is weird.
True. I agree.
You see these ladies in grocery stores, and some men, but mostly ladies, just sticking their nose in other people's business. Just mind your business and keep moving.
All right. All right. So let's move on to the second Karen-ish incident. That's the incident that happened in Michigan. The woman's name is Jillian Westenberg, and her husband, Eric. In the viral video we saw, this woman pulls a gun on a Black woman and her family. And when we first see the video, we're like, I have to admit, I was like, check this Karen out. This chick is freaking out. She's holding a gun. Like, what's going on here? That's terrible, right? Mm-hmm. What's the real story? The
real story is they bumped into each other in whatever store, Walmart or Target, whatever they were in, shopping. Chipotle, several pronunciations. They bumped into each other, and that's when the argument ensued.
While they were in the store.
At some point, Jillian tries to leave, and which is a way of de-escalating, just get away from the problem. They pursue her out to her car, and that's where the video picks up. They followed her out to her car. Keep in mind, they bump shoulders. It's not the end of the world.
Oh, your video is scratchy. Your audio is scratchy.
They bump shoulders. It's not the end of the world, and they end up. The video picks up from them exiting the store and surrounding her car, and now they're not letting Jillian leave.
Right.
And keep in mind, you can open carry in Michigan. So now they're banging on her window, so she can't leave. She's trying to escape the problem, and they're the aggressors.
They're the aggressors. So they bump into the store. They get into an altercation. Jillian, the white woman and her husband, try to leave the store, try to exit. And when they leave, the Black family actually gets behind her car and hits the window, like she pounds against the window. And that's when we see what we saw. Jillian comes out with the gun. All right. So does she fall into this Karen-ish category?
She doesn't. Well, she does if you see just the video. When you get the full story, you see, like, I don't understand these people, running around trying to poke the bear of any color. Why can't you just go shop, do your thing, and live your life?
Right.
You got people looking for, conflict.
Right. So and they both got arrested, actually. Her and her husband, they got arrested for pulling the gun. And I do think maybe pulling the gun was a bit extreme. However, when you hear the totality of the incident, the black woman and her family, they were the aggressors in that situation. They poked the bear, right?
Correct.
It's almost like she felt entitled because of this client. And I don't get it. I mean, I understand what's going on in the world right now, in the country, and black people, are trying to, they're upset because they want to start being treated fairly. They want the laws to change, but that doesn't mean we have the right to go around provoking incidents, right? Just the
Correct.
same way, I don't understand why, I guess maybe, I don't know, but the Karens, do they feel like they need to defend themselves on some level? And which is why they're going around poking their nose at other people's business. I don't know what it is, but it seems like each side finds an incident where they need to poke the bear, take it way beyond where it needs to go.
Most of these videos, if you watch any of them, even if you're watching them for the first time, the question you usually ask yourself is, why does he or she care about what is happening? Somebody, is painting their fence, or somebody is mowing their lawn. Could you imagine walking up to somebody and complaining about how they're mowing their own lawn? Could you imagine? It just doesn't make any sense. It's my lawn. Why do you care?
Right. I mean, I might be walking down the street and see a dude, mowing his lawn. I might be like, I wouldn't be mowing it that way, but I don't think I'd have the nerve, the audacity, the gall to go up. That's right. I went there to go up into his yard and be like, what are you doing? Right.
You're doing this all wrong.
Yeah. Bro. Right, what's going on? What's going on? I don't get it. So speaking of which, that brings us to our next Karen, the San Francisco Karen. Her name is Lisa Alexander. And she rolled up on James Juanillo, who happened to be writing in chalk on a wall in front of his house. Yes.
Chalk.
Black Lives Matter. He's writing on a wall in front of his house. And she comes up and questions him about it. For one, like, why are you doing this? This is public property. And he's like, what do you mean this is my property? She goes, do you own the house? Do you live here? He's like, what do you mean do I live here? She goes, I know who lives here. Basically, I'm paraphrasing. But she basically says to him, I know who lives here. And it's not you. He lived there.
Yeah. And he owned the property. There's several issues there. On some level, she didn't think that it was possible for him to own that house or to live in that house.
Right.
And how many kids around America play with chalk on the sidewalk in all communities? It's chalk.
Right.
Like why is chalk up here in terms of importance for people?
Yeah, again, that's the same thing I said about, if I'm walking down the street and someone's mowing their lawn, why do I feel? Even if I don't think it's their lawn, where do I get off walking up to you and be like, what you doing?
I'm offended at your lawn.
I hate the way you're cutting your lawn. This is public property. You can't be cutting someone else's lawn. And it turned out to be his lawn. Yeah, I mean, it turned out to be his wall, his property. And so luckily, this San Francisco Karen, her name is Lisa Alexander. She was the CEO and founder of her company. So she didn't lose her job, but her husband, who was with her, who participated, he lost his job. He got fired from his job because he was there and he participated, or maybe simply because he didn't step in and say, babe, you're not minding your business. Does she get the Karen?
Oh, she gets the Karen.
She gets the Karen.
She gets the Karen. And for me personally, I'm not above, maybe not in public, but I'm not above saying to my wife, hey, you were wrong in this situation for these reasons. Who cares how this person cuts their lawn? It's their lawn. I don't care. You've got to evaluate what's important in life, and somebody else's lawn is not important.
Right. All right.
So I think overall, just these things being filmed, even though they're not always violent, there's usually a lot. What's crazy is usually not a lot of physical altercations, just usually arguments. As long as they keep getting filmed, like I think most people in America, I'd like to think most people in America, think like this is stupid.
I would hope so. Right. All right. So speaking of violence, that brings us to, and this is an interesting Karen situation because this Karen is not white, but she totally pulls a Karen move.
Yes.
Paris Anderson in Miami goes to the airport to catch a flight. She has missed her flight. That That's your fault, by the way, Miss Anderson,
Yes.
that you done
Fun
missed your
fact.
flight. Fun fact,
Fun.
that's your fault. She misses her flight. She gets into an altercation with the desk person or whatever. And according to the story by Crystal Bonvillian, she's the one who wrote the story that I got this information from. Miss Anderson decided she was going to go behind the counter herself and retrieve her boarding pass or whatever the case may be. So they called security. Security comes along. Miss Anderson and Sergeant Anthony Rodriguez get into a confrontation, verbal confrontation. This is the woman in the airport story that you've all seen the last couple of days. And she gets in his face and he punches her, right? He punches her.
Like
so
he punched.
Oh, he seriously punched her.
He punched
According to Sergeant Rodriguez, he claims that when she got in his face, her body bumped up against his, and her head hit his chin, which he took as an assault. So he was defending himself. That's his story.
Definite overreaction. There's two things. This was a Karen. This was a black Karen. Let's just call it what it is. Up until the punch. Who do you think you? Let's break this down. Who do you think you are going behind with apparently your imaginary login password to get into the airline system to get your own boarding pass?
The fact that she was trying to do that puts her on the Karen list.
Ultimate Karen. What is that? Now, yes, the police officer is going to lose his job if he hasn't already lost it. She got into his personal space, but this is a lot better than Mike Tysoning, putting space between his reaction made no sense.
His reaction did make no sense. And I mean, and we've talked about before how cops are held to a higher standard. So in that situation, yeah, regardless, I mean, she bumped into you or whatever. And by the way, the video of that incident doesn't verify that she bumped into him or whatever. It doesn't show that. But regardless, you're supposed to be held to a higher standard. You're supposed to be trained to de-escalate those type of situations, right? Paris Anderson was poking the bear.
She was.
She got way out of her boundaries there.
And I'm not advocating. We're not advocating. Men hitting women. But his response made no sense. There wasn't even a scuffle. It just sounds like Dennis Rodman him, got under his skin,
right?
And for a minute, he thought she was a dude, like this is the bar or something,
right? And according to Crystal Bonvillian, she says that Paris Anderson, once the cops showed up, Paris Anderson was complaining about the desk clerk and was like, "I'm gonna go punch her out," and Sergeant Rodriguez goaded her, like, "Yeah, go do it," which his authorities, his bosses, his chiefs said that was not in the report. Sergeant Rodriguez didn't mention that he goaded the woman to punch the clerk. I don't know, a lot of different stories. He definitely got dismissed. He got let go. He got relieved of duty. I don't know if he's gotten fired yet. But Paris Anderson, you're Karen'd. You're Karen'd. And you got punched in your face. And that's the problem. Because sooner or later, some of these other Karens, one of these Karens is going to walk up on the wrong person.
Yes. And that's going to go viral.
And it's going to be bad.
But it's going to go viral.
And it's going to be bad. So I guess what I'm trying to get to is this is the wrong time for people to start feeling entitled. This is the wrong time to be poking the bear because you think you have some type of bone to pick, or you think you need to get in someone's face, or you think you need to poke your nose in someone's business. This is totally going to circumvent whatever we're trying to do as a nation right now, right? Because all it shows is that we don't know how to get along. We don't know how to communicate. And it has to come from both sides. Both sides. We all need to get it. And I don't want to say both sides like there's only black and white. There's, all these different races out there. Yeah. So as a nation, as a people, we need to get it together.
Agreed 1,000%.
And I'm going to leave it at that.
I'm good.
All right. For those of you out here who have any comments about this, please put it down under the video in the comment section.
Tell us your Karen story in the comments.
Oh my God, yes, that'd be great. And if you want to come out here and tell your Karen story, we're all with it.
Let us know.
Right? Like, come up here and get all up in it with us. Hit the thumbs up, give us the like, please subscribe. I'm Daniels D Money signing out from Simi Valley.
Hey, Aaron, that is Sunny SD.
And we're out.
Bizz.